By the late summer of 1940, the Battle of Britain had raged for weeks. The Luftwaffe, frustrated by its failure to destroy the RAF, now turned its sights on the British capital. On September 7th, nearly 1,000 German bombers and fighters crossed the Channel in waves. Their target, London's docks and industry. From the Kent coast to the Thames estuary, the sound was unmistakable. A deep, rolling thunder that meant death was coming. Civilians stood frozen in the streets. RAF squadrons scrambled to meet the largest raid yet. The Luftwaffe came in disciplined ranks, 27 bombers to a group, Messerschmitt fighters darting above as guardians. The first wave alone was more than 300 aircraft. But today, history takes a different turn. High above the contrails, a fighter appears. Something from a future the world has never seen. In minutes, the Luftwaffe formation is in chaos. Bombers vanish in fire, escorts scatter, and the survivors limp for the Channel. This is the Blitz as it never happened. A battle where the RAF's newest pilot isn't from 1940 at all. In this hypothetical scenario, the fighter that tore apart the Luftwaffe raid was not a Spitfire. It was the Lockheed Martin F22 Raptor. First flown in 1997, a fifth-generation stealth fighter designed to outfly opponents and destroy them before they even knew it was there. For this video, the Raptor is not alone. It's based at RAF Brigham Hill, one of the most famous fighter stations of the war. A hand-picked team of specialists. A mystery to the rest of the station, service the aircraft in a sealed hangar. They have fuel, munitions, and spare parts brought from the modern era. In this version of history, we accept these impossibilities, so the question becomes not how it flies, but what happens when it does. The Spitfire, arguably the best RAF fighter of the time, could reach 360 miles an hour. Armed with 8 303 Browning machine guns, it was deadly in close combat. But pilots often saw their enemies only at the last moment. The F-22 cruises at over 1,500 miles per hour, faster than a rifle bullet. It carries missiles that can strike down targets over 20 miles away, guided by radar invisible to them. To Luftwaffe crews, the attack would have seemed supernatural. Their fastest fighter, the Messerschmitt Bf-109, flew at 350 miles per hour. Against the Raptor, they were hopelessly outclassed. The Raptor's radar can track dozens of targets at once, unimaginable in 1940. Even if the Germans could look for it on the radar, they'd find nothing. The Raptor was designed to be invisible. For a 1940s pilot, a dogfight was a twisting contest of eyesight and nerve. For the F-22, combat is mathematics. Identify, lock on, and then fire. Where a Spitfire duel might last 10 minutes, the Raptor could end it in 10 seconds. Its greatest weapon was not speed, stealth, or missiles, but terror. To German aircrews, formations that had survived dozens of raids were now dissolving in fire before they saw their attacker. It wasn't just a fighter, it was a phantom. Days after the raid, Berlin announced the attack on London was a success. Inside the Luftwaffe headquarters, the mood was very different. More than 100 aircraft had been lost in the first wave alone, the highest single-day loss of the war so far. Survivors told stories the German high command couldn't explain. Reports contradicted each other, but all agreed this was something new. The Reichsmarschall, Hermann Göring, had built his reputation on the Luftwaffe's strength. Admitting the existence of a British superfighter was unthinkable. Officially, losses were blamed on overzealous RAF claims and bad weather. Privately, Göring ordered an investigation. In Messerschmitt and Henkel design offices, work on a jet and rocket aircraft was given new urgency. The Me-262 jet fighter, years from completion, was suddenly top priority. Resources were pulled from bomber production. The race for speed had begun. Within a week, the Luftwaffe scaled back daylight raids. If the British had a machine capable of destroying entire formations in minutes, the sky over England was no longer safe. The Blitz would continue, but mostly in the darkness. But darkness was no shield. The F-22's sensors could see through it as easily as daylight, tracking enemy formations from dozens of miles away. While RAF night fighters of the era relied on primitive airborne radar and ground controllers, the Raptor hunted alone, guided by thermal imaging and powerful radar invisible to the enemy. To Luftwaffe crews, the first night raids brought no relief. Bombers vanished into fire just as they had by day. Gunners fired wildly into the dark, never seeing the attacker. The sky was no longer a place of duels. It was a killing ground where the hunter was always unseen. The war over Britain had changed. The Luftwaffe now faced an enemy they could not see, could not outfly, and could not yet understand. By October, Luftwaffe losses reached a level Berlin could not ignore. Entire bomber groups were being wiped from the roster. Crews whispered of a gray ghost, a British weapon that could strike from nowhere, in any weather, at any hour. Production lines in Germany could not keep up. Every bomber lost over Britain drained the war effort. Replacing trained crews was harder still. Jet and rocket aircraft projects were now top priority. The Messerschmitt Me-262, still years from combat, was pushed into crash development. Resources were diverted from bombers. The Luftwaffe's focus shifted from attacking Britain to finding a way to match its new defender. For Britain, the effect was equally profound. The Blitz still caused devastation, but not on the scale feared. Docks and factories kept running, morale soared. For the first time since the war began, the RAF held more than just a defensive line. It held an overwhelming advantage. By 1942, Britain's bomber offensive was relentless. The F-22's role shifted from defending the homeland to escorting Allied bombers deep into the Reich. Losses fell to levels unimaginable to wartime planners. German cities burned under round-the-clock raids. In North Africa, Allied support convoys reached the front unmolested. In the Atlantic, the U-boat war suffered as aircraft, now free from guarding Britain's skies, hunted them across the ocean. When D-Day came, the Luftwaffe could barely put a few dozen fighters over Normandy. Most were gone within hours. Germany's collapse came faster. Berlin fell in March 1945, 2 months earlier than in our timeline. Its arsenal was a revolution in warfare. The AIM-120 AMRAAM, able to kill from beyond sight, the AIM-9X Sidewinder, able to strike even as the pilot looked away from the target. Each missile meant one less enemy aircraft. In the Blitz of 1940, it could destroy a squadron in minutes. In the campaigns that followed, it shattered entire air fleets before they could fire a shot. History remembers the Spitfire and the Hurricane as the saviors of Britain. But in this alternate war, a single aircraft, one that should have never existed in 1940, changed the fate of nations. It fought in the shadows, gave hope to millions, and brought an early end to the greatest conflict in human history. If you enjoyed this video, or it made you think more than you thought you might, please consider subscribing. It really helps out.